Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. And I am here with my coffee as we are talking about Weyward, a novel by Emilia Hart. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you about this book is I just finished it in late January. Didn't get to review it in January, but thought it was a pretty good book to be able to push out there for February, even though didn't read it in February. So, why do I want to push it out there as a review? Well, it's actually gotten some really great reviews, and so I'm looking on Amazon and Goodreads and Barnes and Noble and all these sorts of other kind of sites. And I'm really glad I read it because not only do other people really like it, I liked it as well. It was an indie pick for several different, for an indie pick for March 2023, it did release in March of 2023. It was in a Book of the Month block, or a choice for Book of the Month. So that's really cool. I really love when some of these books pop up for that. I kind of wish I had gotten back into Book of the Month earlier to get some of these books on my shelf. However, haven't gotten back into that yet. I probably should do that this year. But it gets magical realism debut novel by Emilia Hart, and it was a Book of the Year finalist for Book of the Month. So that's pretty cool too. That means a lot of people really enjoyed it. I'm showing about 4.1 to 4.4 stars, and out of about 100,000 ratings. So overall, that's pretty high. Now, I consider anything with over about 50,000 ratings and still maintaining 4 stars pretty darn good. I personally gave it about 4.5 stars. I found it to be more dramatic and a little bit not as mystical as I thought it was going to be. I think there was a little bit more historical fiction in it. It was a little bit more about family, and there was some drama. There's a little bit of like what I would call magic, because the women are more or less kind of referred to in such a way that they are witches, that they have some natural nature abilities, such as some that's kind of medicinal, some that helps with healing, but also some that seems to kind of tie them to birds and nature as well. So we do kind of follow 3 different women that over the course of the book we discover their familial connections. So we kind of have more or less present day Kate, who is fleeing from her very abusive relationship. So she flees to her kind of to a cottage that's been left to her by her abusive partner. Does not know this cottage exists, so she feels this a safe place to be able to kind of restart her life and escape from kind of his clutches. We also have Altha. Yeah, I think it's Altha. And she's kind of more, I don't want to say the beginning, but she is kind of like more or less where we kind of see the root of some of this magic starting. I'm sure it kind of follows before her as well, but Altha is she's put on trial for witchcraft, kind of Salem witchcraft trial style. So it's kind of like 1619-ish time frame. And then we also have Violet, who is more or less, she's kind of outcast by her dad. I think her dad, after her mom passes, her dad doesn't really look on his daughter very well, so he kind of sees her as an extra child. She's not beneficial to him too much, except for possibly for marrying off, which ultimately you would have to read the book to find out more about that. However, so we've got these three different females, and each of them we follow in different ways across the centuries. And it's very, very interesting because you feel very, like, emotionally connected to each of these females in their own way and what they're going through and what they're struggling with in their lives. Alpha for being on trial for, like, a local farmer has died and they blame her for putting a curse on him. They think she has conducted a form of witchcraft in order for him to be stampeded by his herd. And so she's on trial for that. And she's very young at this particular time, but it's not unusual at this particular time as well for women to be considered dangerous, for there to be the suspicion of possible witchcraft and all these sorts of things. And but her mom did teach her these sorts of root magic and these sorts of spells and deep knowledge and castings about the natural world. And so Alpha is worried that she could definitely be found guilty even if she had nothing to do with the stampede or the death of this farmer. Kate, on the other hand, the one who's more present day, who's fleeing from her partner, she knows nothing about kind of that portion of her family, and she only starts to discover little tiny pieces once she reaches kind of this estranged great aunt's house. And so once she gets to this kind of ivy covered ivy covered, overgrown cottage, she starts to suspect that there was possibly a secret in her great aunt's life as she kind of discovers little things along the way inside the cottage and those sorts of things. She even has, if I remember correctly, like a talisman or possibly like a charm or a pin like that has a W on it that relates to the title of the book, Weyward. And then we go back to Violet, which Violet is kind of the person in the middle that almost kind of arches between Kate and Alpha. And Violet kind of is around World War II. Violet is kind of trapped in her family's estate. They kind of started losing some of their esteem. Again, she kind of wants education. Her dad doesn't think she deserves it. Her dad would rather she just stay silent and kind of stay hidden, stay in a corner, and kind of be that good daughter, even though almost nothing she does can be good in his eyes. And so you have these three different girls kind of trying to figure out their own ways in life. And honestly, I thought it was really well done. Again, we don't see just a ton of overarching what I would call magic, and I think that's why this book is kind of in the genre of magical realism, is we walk a very fine line of when the magic is happening and when it's more of kind of magic and realism. Like, it's very dreamlike when certain things are happening and those sorts of things. They have to discover things about themselves along the way. They have to discover things about their family. And I thought, from an author who created this novel as a debut novel, it's also incredibly well done. It's powerful in kind of a heartbreaking sort of way. And we do see a lot of struggle against patriarchy, because, of course, each of these women is kind of trying to fight for their own voice in male-dominated situations. So we also have that as well. Each of them is trying to figure out ways to make themselves heard. Each of them is trying to kind of almost put themselves out there, find their own lives, and I really liked it. However, I do think it was a slow burn. I think that that's probably the part that could kind of get some people a little bit. It's slower pacing, and so I think we amble more than race to the end. And so I'm not sure if you're like, I think with a drama, you maybe kind of amble towards an ending sometimes as you walk with these girls to their endings and to hopefully some sort of resolve. I know this book has been out probably about a year now, but I still don't want to give you too many details of endings. I just want to let you know that it's really well done. Again, I give it about 4.5 stars. It's hard for me to round down to 4 stars. Like Goodreads only lets you give solid stars. I would probably go ahead and round it to 5, and just put the caveat in the narrative that give it a 4.5. But I hate to bring the rating down, or even like partially, just simply because I for a debut, again, really well done. Um, I love learning more about like Altha and the witchcraft trials and being imprisoned and what the verdict awaits for her. I like learning about Violet and how she overcomes and what's in store for her in a family that really doesn't want her, especially after her mom's passed and her dad, who seemed to be so in love with the mom, um, almost turns on the daughter after the wife is gone. He almost thinks he was under a spell the entire time and feels very scornful towards the wife and towards the daughter once she's gone. And then there's Kate, who, of course, she knows nothing of this sort of magical the witches in her past or in her family heritage, and has a lot of learning to do about finding the magic in herself in order to take her power back. So I think that's really powerful in itself, woven together very beautifully, but very compelling. So just kind of wanted to share that with you because I think, like again, Emilia Hart does well. And I just wanted to kind of share this quote with you. It's witch. The word slithers from the mouth like a serpent, drips from the tongue as thick and black as tar. We never thought of ourselves as witches, my mother and I, for this was a word invented by men, a word that brings power to those who speak it, not those it describes, a word that builds gallows empires, turns breathing women into corpses. And I want to say that that may have come from Altha, yeah, because of course her and her mom, they were very aware of kind of this natural ability they had. Her mom freely taught her the healing powers and the gifts that nature could provide, and it was kind of more or less the patriarchy who turned that into a very blasphemous state to have, which made it very secretive, yet neighbors would seek them out if a family member was sick and the doctor didn't seem to be able to do anything to help. They were the ones who would be turned to next with the hope that they may be able to still save their loved one. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this book adventure. I hope to be able to share more with you very soon. I know I had to take a little bit of a break. I had some family in town and a whole bunch of things going on, but I am hopefully going to be providing quite a few little book reviews this week, and I hope to be more consistent with my reviews as well. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one, and keep reading. Bye.